You know the cost of living crisis is really starting to bite when you get headlines like this in the Gold Coast Bulletin. It's a latte, but time's been hard. I'm not talking about the pun that's the cost of living giveaway here, but the next line, cafe operators are pleading for government intervention, warning the price of an average coffee will soon hit $7 to keep pace with rising business costs. Now, I know when you go to the Gold Coast on holidays, you pay a premium for everything, but $7 for a coffee. I get my coffee for $4.50 at Castle Towers, and it's a great coffee too. But there's no way in hell I would pay $7 for a coffee. I would be getting a Nescafe instant coffee and making it home myself. $7. Who can afford that?
International roast all the way.
Oh my God.
No, but seriously, reading this, I was just surprised that they haven't hit $7 yet. Here in Sydney, I'm sorry to say, that is not unusual.
You live in the wrong part of Sydney.
Out in Castle Hill, like
God's own
maybe it's
country.
even worth making the trip for coffee that cheap. But this ship has flown. This ship is a speck in the distance.
How much are you paying for coffee where you are?
I get a long black and it's $6.50. So there's no milk involved. There's no frothing involved. Not even the extra time involved or the extra product of dairy. It's just a long black.
How can you say there's no frothing involved? I'd be bloody frothing if I was paying $6.50 for a long black, for heaven's sake. I mean, I wrote a column for news.com.au back in April in which I said that if a coffee costs more than $5 in this country, we are no longer a serious country. A few months later, we're talking about $7 now, right? But the bit I can't get my head around is that cafe operators, it says here, are pleading for government intervention. So what, are we now, the federal government or the state government's got to intervene and subsidise cafes or something?
They're talking about power costs and probably fuel subsidies and all those other things.
Yeah, well, we could all do with a bit of that. But it is like, how ridiculous when something like a coffee, as simple as a coffee, could cost you $7. You used to be able to get a pint on happy hour for about $5. You walk into a pub now, you cannot find a pint of beer for less than $10 in most parts of the country. It is absolutely outrageous. And they put tax on beer. There's no tax on coffee and it's still going up this month.
One wonders how much of this is crocodile tears, because if you cannot make a coffee for less than $7, what the heck are you doing? We all know you've got to pay your staff, but we know wages haven't gone up. Sure, there's interest rate rises, there's inflation, but wages haven't gone up with that. So you've got to pay your staff, but you're paying them the same. You mean to tell me a coffee bean and milk has gone up so significantly that you're charging that much more?
No, that's not it. It's baristas have joined the CFMEU and they're being paid an absolute fortune now.
That's what I mean. It's not the staff costs. It can't be.
No, it's not.
Nobody's wages have gone up. So you are paying for the coffee machine, which you would have bought ages ago. Yeah. You're essentially selling the product, which is one cardboard cup coated with PFAS, you're welcome, and the coffee bean with a bit of hot water and some milk if someone hasn't ordered a long black. What?
Well, I'll give you a hot tip. You shouldn't be having takeaway coffee. It should always be had in a porcelain cup sitting down with a newspaper, as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, if a cafe doesn't have the day's papers there, I will walk out. I think that's the marker of a good cafe. But it's the operating costs that have gone up. Yep. It's the overheads in terms of power and whatever, as you mentioned before. But also interest rates have hit them significantly as well, because if you've taken out a business loan to start a cafe, those costs have gone up. Thanks, Albo, you've sent the cost of coffee through the roof. But there could be some relief on the way, because on the front of the Courier Mail tomorrow, it says, hope for borrowers, 4 rate cuts in 25. I can hear the cheers from the lodge sitting here in Macquarie Park in Sydney. Mortgage holders could receive 4 interest rate cuts next year, reigniting another property boom, experts claim. The ASX's RBA target rate tracker yesterday revealed Australian financial markets have begun pricing in 4 25 basis point interest rate cuts starting in February. And that is exactly what the Prime Minister wants before he goes to a federal election. He is hoping and praying and wishing and crossing every single appendage he has tonight that this actually happens. But by the way, it won't be any thanks to him. It's only because the RBA has pulled their levers so hard, 13 odd interest rate rises since this Prime Minister has come to power, in order to make this happen.
Yeah, the headline reads "Hope for borrowers, hope for Albanese."
That was too right.
The more pertinent headline. Who knows whether this will happen or not? But a lot of people will be hanging on for dear life, believing it will, because a lot of people are doing it really tough.
Yeah, if it sounds like false hope and it smells like false hope, let's just pretend they've said nothing until it actually happens.
Smells like a $7 coffee to me.
Of Australian Now. AUKUS Originals to embrace threesome. That's the pillar talk. Australia, the US and Britain will open the... Yeah, I know. What is this with the innuendo on the front page of
We
the
read that
Australian?
earlier and I only just got it, but it's the way you read it out. It made it clear to me. So.
Oh, no. As soon as I saw that,
That's what the editor meant.
I thought this is going to sell papers tomorrow. People go, hey, we're going to have threesomes at AUKUS? Oh, yeah.
This union's really taking off. Australia, the US and Britain will open the door to AUKUS cooperation with South Korea, New Zealand and Canada in a potential expansion of the Pact's so-called Pillar 2 technology sharing partnership. You wonder if they're trying to do kind of punch for punch with BRICS? Because BRICS recently invited like 5 more countries, and they're obviously with Russia and China, they're seen as the other AUKUS. I mean, not specifically, but certainly that's how I see them. So they're looking to expand. South Africa recently signed on with them. Are we doing the same here, being like, actually, just the handful of us may not be enough in the future. Let's get some new recruits. If you want to join, the doors are open.
It's pretty clear what's happening. Everybody's sort of getting around their friends and everyone's picking their side because everyone knows what's coming. That's what it seems like. These are not easy times where everyone's relaxing and thinking we've got clear skies ahead. There's dark clouds on the horizon, and so people are choosing their friends and buddying up, and I think we're very wise to.
Fair enough, but let's not forget, though, that we read on the front of the Oz last night the US is urging Australia not to vote for Israel having to pull entirely out of Gaza, right? We talk about AUKUS, but the AUKUS partners aren't exactly on the same page when it comes to military matters. So.
Yeah, and if you're going to involve New Zealand in AUKUS, you'd like to know that they're committed to AUKUS rather than cozying up to China, as the former Labor government was pretty
That's
keen
true.
on doing.
Though you earlier, when we were reading the papers before the show, thought it said North Korea, and I thought, hell, if we can get North Korea on board, this thing is a real go.
We're cooking with gas.
I'm a man of faith. I thought my prayers might have been answered, but alas, no.